What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. People, in today's video, we want to talk about the consequences of having shanty towns, shacks, and the high unemployment rate in Africa. Well, in South Africa to be specific, but we'll also touch on Africa. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. And please do the right thing and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holler. People, sometimes it's hard to believe that there are functioning countries in Africa. When you look at the state of most of Africa, you'll realize that there are certain things or certain patterns that remind you that you're in Africa, no matter where you go. I mean, Northern Africa or North Africa, which is just basically an extension of the Middle East, possibly also looks the same, right? If you go from Morocco to Egypt, the architecture is of Arabic inspiration, right? So obviously it's gonna look kind of the same. Then we come to sub-Saharan Africa. Eh, it's more European inspired, right? Because they're colonized by the British and the French and the Portuguese, right? So most of it looks kind of the same. But then there's this certain trend of shacks that's just undeniably, distinctly, dare I say, excuse me, uniquely African. That's not to say that other race groups don't have their idea of what shacks are, right? But African shacks have a standout quality because it doesn't matter whether you're in Haiti, Jamaica, the Caribbean as a whole, any black run country has this distinctive feature of having corrugated iron, what we call zinc infrastructure. Now, obviously, being third world countries, bricks and concrete don't come cheap. So people's next alternative is going to be wood or corrugated iron, zinc. Now, when you find a country having a mushrooming of these shacks, it shows that there's a problem, right? Because no functioning economy or well run country would have a mushrooming of shacks, right? In South Africa, shacks came about because of the uh, Housing Act, right? The Group Areas Act, where people were taken out of their housing, forcefully removed, and then thrown into the periphery of the cities, to these rocky and sandy, with virtually no housing almost, right? And people had to come up with alternative housing for themselves, right? But the government did build lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of housing, low cost housing for the masses. So that was impressive. So I'm trying to think, do any African governments ever think of eradicating shacks? That culture of shacks. I mean, I did I did some research and I found out that there's virtually no shacks in Botswana. And then I remember a while ago during Robert Mugabe's reign, sure, they were just demolishing shacks wherever they saw shacks, right? So I'm trying to think the phenomenon of shacks, is that a sign of poverty, like to say like the economy is not functioning, so therefore we need to build shacks? Or is shacks a sign of saying, well, I live too far, so I need to live near work or near school, so I need to build a shack? You see, there's two sides to living in a shack or building a shack. Like from the South African perspective, right? Let me speak about South Africa specifically because I'm here. I don't want to be judgmental and speak of what I think about other countries because I don't live there, so I don't want to just impose my own judgment on why people live in shacks in other countries, right? In South Africa, there are people that have good jobs, that earn good money, that prefer to live a low maintenance life so they can have more money, more disposable income because they value having maybe a car, you know, they don't pay high rents, right? Maybe they're helping to build a family home back at their homes. But when they're living in the big cities where they're working, they don't want to pay high rents, because they're focusing on building back home. So what they do is they come and they just put up a shack. They don't want to pay rent in a room because that's like money going out. So they'll build a shack. So it's not like they're suffering, right? It's not like they're struggling financially. It's just that they're choosing this way of life, right? That's one aspect. Then the obvious aspect is if people can't afford housing, right? So therefore they're building shacks. The third option is there are people who have or allocated housing that are deciding to rent them out or to sell them. And then what are they doing? They're building shacks. So how do we differentiate between those that can afford housing, those that choose to live in shacks, and those that are genuinely, desperately needing homes and just can't afford homes? Those are the three angles that I'm looking at. It's said that some people don't even have a house, that they are waiting for a house, a brick and mortar house. And yet there are people, that's like from the 70s already, right? People are waiting for houses since the 70s. And it's now 2025 and they still don't have a house. There are people that have been given houses. I don't know how they skipped the queue and they choose to rent those houses out because it's another source of income for them on top of the jobs that they have. And then on top of the small other business that they have on the side, there's like three sources of income that person has, and this person still chooses to live in a shack. So, how do we solve the shack pandemic? How do we eliminate shacks? Or how do we reduce shacks to just those that are desperate for housing that have no other alternative but to live in a shack? How do we get that going? For the longest of time, governments, even leaders that are in power today, have come from those same shacks. And you cannot tell me that they do not know of these different reasons why people dwell in these shacks. Because if by true metrics, if a government was serious about eradicating the shack pandemic, the shack problem, they would they would dive deep into this problem and weed out the culprits that do not deserve to be in those spaces, that are supposed to be actually out in formal housing. Because it adds to the bigger problem that we actually have now, which is like just sprawling zinc structures. And it's really unsafe environments, to be honest, because when you visit those informal sectors, man, it's not safe at all. Trust me. And a lot of crime happens in those spaces. So, is there political will? Is there a sustained concrete plan to try to eradicate shacks? I mean, Wouldn't that be the goal, the aim of a government that is elected into power at least at some point? Because from what I'm seeing, it's like it's even getting worse. At one point in Mitchell's Plain, there was, I would like to say, absolutely almost no shacks. Or there was just a place in Hines Park that I remember, and Marcus Garvey maybe. But there was a few places that had shacks in Mitchell's Plain, right? Now apparently, man, it's like people are desperate for housing because people are flocking to the city and they need housing and it's just no housing. So what do? You just peg land and you just put up a shack. Surely this trend cannot continue forever now, can it? No. So why is the government letting it continue? Second, we're looking at unemployment. What's causing the high rates of unemployment? Is it people that are desperately needing jobs that can't find work? Is it people choosing not to work because they have sideline or online or self-employment hustles going on? Or is it people that are unable to work? Is the government looking into all these things? Do you know what I mean? So how do you tackle all these nagging social ills that are just being lumped into one big pot, and yet it's not one big lump sum thing. There are dissections that need to be considered and a real breakdown into categories of how these things can be tackled and then possibly eradicated. Is the government even looking at these things? Or are African governments even looking at these things if the problems are similar to South Africa's problems? Now, a willing government would actually do a survey, do a thorough breakdown, go do the due diligence and find out. It's not going to take a day or two, a month, a year. It will take maybe even a good 5 years, but it has to be a plan within the next 10, 20 years that there has to be the eradication of shares. There has to be a plan. And there has to be an eradication of unemployment. It just has to be. Or not even an eradication, maybe let's just say a reduction of unemployment. Because there's a good section of the population that's able bodied, that can work. So, what can be done with those people? There's obviously those that are frail, that cannot work. What can be done with those people? So, I feel like there are options, but the government is reluctant. There's no political will on the government side to actually look into these things. So, next, we get into the positives of ignoring all these social ills that just keep nagging year in, year out. You know how we do. Holla. Phew, man. People, the pros of having shacks and high unemployment rates is beyond the imagination. Because, to be honest, you could be a low housing developer or a developer that specializes in low cost housing. So when you get a government contract or a tender, as we call it in South Africa, to build low cost housing for the people in the informal sector, how do you how do you quantify? How do you gauge? How do you justify the number of people that you're going to be building houses for if you do not break them up into the three categories that I mentioned earlier? So are you just going to go around just counting all the shacks that are there? Then you're going to say, okay, all these, let's just say there's, I don't know, 10,000 shacks. Are you going to build 10,000 houses? So does everyone who's just living in a shack gets a house or another house? See, that's the thing. The pros are there. to create, to build houses on the shack side, right? But to deserving people. The pros on the unemployment side is obviously there. With high unemployment comes opportunities for entrepreneurs to then hire unemployed people. Unskilled labor then gets upskilled, and it will be a good look for government with the government input as well. If these things are implemented in a good way and in a strategic, thorough way, because you don't want people now benefiting from a system unjustly so, because while other people are getting double or triple, other people are not even getting, or some people are only getting what they deserve, but others are getting rewarded on top of being rewarded previously. Like in the case of getting an extra house when you already have one, but you decided to rent it out or you decided to sell it and not getting another house. That would be totally wrong, right? So that's what I'm saying. Politically, there's no will. And from business perspective, I also think from the private sector, I think there's also no will to eradicate poverty or to eradicate this shared solution. But the positives are there that we could actually get in low cost housing developers who could actually look at it and build the necessary housing requirements, because I'm sure there must be a register that shows how many people have received houses in the past. So whether you sold it or whether you're renting it out, that's on you, but you do not qualify for the house going forward. So we only get those on the list that have not received houses yet. I think that's the pro. So there's opportunities for low cost developers to come in and look at eradicating houses, whether they build flats. Because I'm thinking trying to build freestanding houses is going to be problematic with the amount of area space available. And then not only that, then we also have the issue of most of these shacks are built on areas that cannot really be developed. So you're going to have to buy land elsewhere to develop these areas and build these flats up. But another sticking point is that when you build up these houses in these, a lot of people don't want to move there because it's far from work, it's far from school, it's far. Then what do you do in that case as well? You understand what I mean? So that's a tricky situation. But the opportunities are there for low cost people to come in and develop a block of blocks of flats for people that urgently need housing. I think that is a win-win for everybody. I really do think so. So yeah, next we get into the cons of having shacks and high unemployment rates in South Africa and in Africa in general. But sadly, not every con is always a con. That's what I've got to learn. So yeah, holler. The cons, finally, the cons of shacks and high unemployment. Number one, shacks give this idea that, or reinforces the idea that Africa is a third world continent, right? Not to say that there's no corrugated iron or shacks in first world countries. Probably they are, but they're not in the sheer numbers that they are on the African continent or in the African diaspora countries, right? That's the sad part, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Even if you had to take wooden structures, I don't think they'd be well kept like log cabins, obviously, because those take money and you know what I mean for the upkeep of that. But still, the characteristics will still just be the same. We're just changing the material. So I don't think wood will be a better look than the corrugated zinc irons. You know what I mean? So yeah. So it's just that corrugated irons, they scare away people. They just give this negative look, like it's, and like I said, it adds to the crime rate. It's not a good look having the corrugated iron in mass numbers. You know what I mean? That needs to be eradicated. To be honest, it's just a breeding ground for crime. To be honest. And high unemployment rates, obviously, that's another thing that's tied to poverty, tied to. So that also adds to the criminal element, because now people are unemployed, government can't look after everybody. You got to go out and find something to do, because if you don't, you're going to die. So what do? You resort to crime. So yeah, man, those are the cons that I can think of based on the research that I did. So if you know of any other cons or pros that you could also add to this video, please comment in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And one more thing, let me know if I was on the money or if I totally missed it with this one. Peace.